Hey everybody, Chris from Chris's Trains and Things. We're in the car, but today we are actually heading to the Lancaster Convention Center, which is at the Marriott in downtown Lancaster City here in Lancaster, PA. And it is for the TCA convention. So we've talked a little bit about this on the channel and on some of the live streams, that the National TCA Convention is here in Lancaster this year. And so we are here. It is June 20th. It's a Thursday of the convention week. And tomorrow is actually the TCA tour of my house, my layout, which I'm pretty excited about. So all week long, the schedule here, you know, they've got different excursions down to Annapolis, to Hershey, to car museums, to the Yingling Brewery, to Strasbourg, all sorts of places that are not just train related, but just in the local area. So people from around the country or around the world can come into the convention. There's different things happening at the convention center itself, and that's where we're going to today. We're going to check out some of the operating layouts that they have. There's also going to be some meats and tables and things like that for sale, for items for sale. So we're going to see exactly what that's all about. I've never actually traveled to a convention. I know some recent ones, I believe, were in Denver. There's been one in Burlington recently. And so, you know, all over the country. And so the fact that this one is about 25 minutes from my house means I really should have to go check it out. So I'm going to go down to the convention center. I did pick up my badge the other day, so I've got my badge here. We're ready to go. So we'll hopefully get some footage inside the convention, and then we're going to hopefully get some footage of the tour at my house. So we have 2 tour buses coming tomorrow night, 52 people in each bus, and I've got some friends from the Lower Susquehanna Valley Railroad Club that are going to come help me out and facilitate running the trains while I work with the crowd and talk with folks and answer questions. So it is brutally hot today. It's 93 degrees out, and so I'm going to crank my air conditioner back up here and get on over to the convention center. Let's go check out the convention hall and see what's going on over there. All right, this is the Raritan Valley High Railers out of, I believe, New Jersey, but most of this stuff is scratch built. These cars are all customized with lights by the club. The only thing that's not scratch built is the Woodland Scenics utility sections there, but all the poles, the transformers, we've got some Woodland Scenics buildings over here as well and around, but this whole energy plant is all scratch built, which is pretty phenomenal. Try to get you over here and see some of the detail. We've got the full conveyor there. Just phenomenal. Welders down here. The service blanket on the hood of the truck there is really cool.
See you again. See you in August.
The level of detail on this is just unbelievable. We've got, this appears to be like HO, coal trains coming, different elevators going different directions. Just the detail on the roof. You got the guys repairing the roof up here. All the lighting. Got the signal heads over here. Company houses over here. Here's one under construction. Got framed out. Just fantastic. The scope of this layout too is huge. As we come over here, we've got this lumber yard. all operational. Trucks, cars can all switch in, drop cars off in different spots. Some station platforms here. I believe he does all of his concrete with cork, and then it's painted. So you'll see some buildings that aren't scratch built, but for the most part, these are scratch built. Just fantastic. This video is probably not doing this justice. The diner's really cool. Because they're working inside the engine compartment of that locomotive. So they've stripped that out, added the internals to make it look like an actual engine, and they're working on it. The welders in there, very cool. Over here we've got a standard gauge layout. Awesome stuff. Really fantastic looking engines. I believe I've seen this T1 before at York. So this is the marketplace. So there's also tables with items for sale. So you can come here and buy and sell as well, which is great. Cool mini golf course they got there, and a little railroad going around the amusement park. Very cool. So for the American Flyer guys, got a lot of American Flyer stuff here also. This is the TCA convention, not the O-scale TCA convention. All right, everybody, so that was the TCA convention. Pretty neat. It was cool to see a bunch of people and got to meet a couple people that are actually coming over to the house tonight for the tour. So basement's ready, I think, to go. Got a couple things just kind of stirring about as we get just some cars and engines and things like that ready to go. I've been testing them all week. They've been running fine. So fingers crossed that that continues as we go into the show tonight. My plan is we've got two groups. So the first group should be here around 5:30 and they'll leave around 6:30 or 7. And then the next group should be here around 7:45 and they'll leave around 9:30. So my plan is to run some stuff for the first session and then switch trains out between sessions. So I'll show you kind of what I've got going on here. Some of the stuff's out for you to see. We'll see if everything cooperates. And again, all the stuff's been running all week and has been fine. So I'm hopeful that it will continue to do that. So let me show you what we got. So our inner loop, we're gonna have our Atlas E8 pulling my Lionel and Atlas passenger cars for Penn Central. We're also going to be running the Atlas Amtrak engine here with our Lionel cars. I've got my third rail, or my Golden Gate Depot rather, boxcar phase 3 that just came in. So we'll have that running on that inner loop as well. The nice thing with DCS is I can put them on the exact same speed step. We shouldn't have to worry about collision. On the outer loop, we've got our ES44 over there. That's with a couple other engines. And then we've got a SD70 DPU in the middle of that train also. That's the end of that train. So we've got some modern mixed freight. Almost all of my Gunderson well cars are in there. I actually picked up another 3-pack from someone that I traded for my old stack cars, but I don't have containers for it yet. So that train's really heavy. So I actually have 3 engines in the front plus a DPU to help pull that. You'll notice some other things here. I've got my Metka custom run SD50 here with the red hat. I just picked this up from Stu. He dropped it off the other day for me on his way into the convention. So this might get swapped into that train also if we need to give the other engines a rest. I've got my Union Pacific passenger train here, some of them. Not all the cars, some of the cars are still up on the shelf. That's gonna get swapped in for one of the groups at some point. So I've got my new big boy 4019 here. So that will get swapped in to probably the inner loop when we pull the Atlas cars off. So I can run this to the outer loop and then I can switch it in to the inner loop over at that crossover over there. So that will happen. And then what we'll also do is we will pull this coal train down here and that will get run as well for the second group also. So I've got my L1 and I1 pulling that coal train. So that we'll back that down the slope and run that on the outer loop. And what we'll do is we'll back the modern freight up that ramp and park that for the second group. That is the plan. If we need to swap out any of the steam engines on that coal train, we'll put in the GPs here, the Conrail patch units. We'll put those in if we need to. We could also throw in the SD50 if needed. So we're ready to go, I think. Basement's pretty clean. Just have one more box of trash here that I'll take up later. You know, I've got some empty shelves. Those UP cars will come down when we run the passenger train tonight. But we've got the display shelves are pretty cleaned up and ready to go. Obviously, a lot of my diesels are down and getting ready to run. So I've got some gaps. So I threw some more rolling stock pieces up on the shelves. This loop, obviously, I guess I should mention, this is going to be the Strasburg loop. So I've got my Strasburg passenger cars here. So we'll start with 90, we'll swap out 89 probably for the second group to give 90 a little bit of a break. So before the show starts, I plan to come back down. I've already vacuumed this morning. I'm gonna come down, just dust off the cars one last time. Everything's pretty cleaned up and I think looking good, although every time I come down here, I find one more thing that I need to fix. And so we'll take care of those things and be ready to go.
I have not heard, I haven't seen Jim Potts or Bob Doler yet to know exactly. I was not there, I was at an event.
Oh, okay. Things changed a lot.
awesome. It was a really great event. Everyone's gone now. It is 10:40 at night. The last bus left right around 9 o'clock to head back. First bus was about 35 or 40 people, so less than what we expected, which was great because we could fit everybody in the basement. The second group was a full bus, so we had about 52 people on it. So we did break it up and kept some people in the garage for that. But what a fun night. I couldn't have done this without the help of the guys from the Lower Susquehanna Valley Club. You know, the fact that they were able to come over and help out was huge. And John brought the modular display that they just did. I had that in the garage, which was fun. Had the dioramas up there, and I got a little bit of footage of that. The trains that I had just talked about before this, about that we're going to run, none of them worked. They've been working for 2 weeks straight of running for about an hour or so. Nope, not working anymore. So all the Atlas engines weren't working, so we had to pull all those off. The giant diesel train that I had, Modern Freight, wasn't working, so we had to switch the engines out, and then that only lasted about 90% of the first group and then just stopped. So we just stopped it. We ended up having to run the big boy on the first group, and then we swapped the big boys for the second group. So we put the 4012 on my first gen Vision Line big boy for the second group, and we ran that, and then we pulled out the I1 and L1, and then the L1 was derailing randomly, so we were just running the I1 for the second group. But you know, I think for the most part it went well, and it was great to have people here. We met some folks that were local. We met some folks from all over the country. You know, TCA officers from all over, from Great Lakes, from you know, New England, from the Dixie area and all that. So it was really cool to see. Met some guys from the High Railers that were here, the New Jersey High Railers, and yeah, it was just a really cool event. Got to meet this kid Kyle. He was here with his dad and I think his uncle. So we got to meet him and got to talk about, you know, my collection, answer some questions, all that stuff. So really cool event. I got on the bus at the end, did a selfie with the last group, which we'll show, and just kind of shared my appreciation. Just so humbled that people wanted to come and they paid money to come see the layout. And it wasn't just my layout. They got to go see Russ McNair's layout, and his collection and layout is fantastic. And there probably won't be pictures or videos of that online because he doesn't want that to happen, and we respect that. You know, I'm just fortunate that people wanted to come see my layout, and I hope they enjoyed it. I hope it was worthwhile. So great event. I've got a lot of cleaning to do. It's actually, you know, it's not terrible. The basement's not dirty. But when you have that many people over, we're going to vacuum and shampoo the carpets and clean and mop upstairs and all that stuff tomorrow. But again, I couldn't have done it without the help of the Lower Susquehanna Valley guys, the TCA guys. He had Stu was here, George was here, Chris was here, Ed, a bunch of folks were coming over to help out. Quinn showed up for a bit, and he was here as well, kind of running security out in the garage. So great time, lots of fun, and just again, honored to have been able to do this. It'll probably never be back again in Lancaster in my lifetime. You know, it's 70th anniversary here, and we were able to hold it here in Lancaster, and you know, I was able to do it now, which is really, really cool. So the nice thing about this is it gave me a deadline to get things done, and now the layout I can say is done, which is cool to say. So here we are on Friday the 21st of June 2024, and my layout is done. So that feels good. But we all know that doesn't actually mean anything because more will change, and we'll see what happens as time goes on. But this was a fun video. It's probably not huge and fabulous, and we'll probably not get a lot of views, but it was great, and it was fun for me to do. So I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to put a movie on, and I'm going to relax because I'm exhausted. It's been a very long day of finding things on the layout that shouldn't be there and fixing things, and, you know, meeting new people, which is fun, but it's tiring. It's a lot. It's a wear and tear. So we go relax, and we'll catch you all on the next one. But before, we're going to cut to some viewer mail from Don Lambert. So let's go ahead and jump into viewer mail. I'm probably going to be dressed differently because I'm not going to film that right now. I'm going to film it tomorrow. So let's go to viewer mail. See you in the All right, everyone, it's time for our viewer mail from our TCA video here, or for our TCA video. And this email came in the beginning here of June, and since this is the first video I've worked on since then, first time we can get to it. So this is from Lost in Altoona, and their email reads, "Hi Chris, long-time listener, first-time caller. How do you keep yourself from getting overwhelmed working on your layout? I'm really starting to think this project is too big." He's talking about the project that he's working on. He's working on this really awesome layout, but it's a lot of work. I'm really starting to think that this layout project is too big. I see these beautiful layouts on YouTube, and maybe I'm just setting my goals too high. I spent all winter working on one building, one single building for my layout. I have friends coming over in a few weeks to see the progress I've made since their last visit, and I don't think I have anything to show for my hundreds of hours of work. Do you have any advice? Signed, Lost in Altoona. Well, it's difficult to prevent that overwhelming feeling, especially when you have a layout that's a pretty big scope. And I know I've been to the layout that this is from, and it's quite large as well. And it really comes down to what do you want your final product to be, right? So Don, you're working on doing a lot of things that are custom and one pieces. You're building, scratch building. That takes time. I didn't scratch build most of the stuff on my layout. There's maybe a handful of things that I've scratch built. Otherwise, they're kits or prefab buildings from Woodland Scenics or Menards or whatnot. So from that standpoint, I haven't been too overwhelmed. But there has been times where you're trying to get some scenes done and life takes over and you just can't get the momentum going to get it done. That's one thing with me when I'm working on something is I like to be able to allot amount of time to get from start to finish in a short period of time. I don't like having things drag on too long. That's just me personally. And it's tough to find that allotment of time that you're gonna be able to get a whole scene done in maybe a weekend when you've got family and other activities and other hobbies and things like that are pulling you in all sorts of directions. My advice is to stay centered on what your vision is for your layout. I wouldn't be too concerned about showing new progress all the time whenever people come over. I know for me, I've got friends that come over at York, that's twice a year, and sometimes there's not much that has changed, at least from my own perspective. And I think that's something also to keep in mind is we don't see much of the progress on our own layouts because we see them every day. Where when you've got someone that comes in, in October and they don't come back until April, you might have made some changes that you don't see because they've been small. They might notice them because they're back again. And again, they're only seeing it twice a year where you're seeing it every day, or they're maybe only seeing it once a year if you're just hosting a club or a big train event and maybe people haven't seen it in a couple of years. So I wouldn't be too hard on yourself that people are going to be disappointed to come over. I think whenever people get to go to another layout, it's exciting for them. It's exciting for me whenever I get to go see another layout. Even if there isn't a whole lot of progress that has been made, it's still just fun to see something different and hang out with people that enjoy the same hobby. That company is really the reason why I like to go hang out with other people and go check out other layouts. So yeah, I won't get too overwhelmed about it. Just stick with what your vision is. Don't shortchange it because you want to impress other people. Do what you want to do, and those buildings that you're working on are going to look amazing when it's done. You're going to be proud of the work, and it's going to last forever. And so I would urge you just to stay true to you, keep your course, and do what you need to do for you and what your vision is for your layout, and you'll be pleased in the end. And I think that everyone that comes to visit will enjoy it too. So that's my advice. Generally with a layout that's big, it can be overwhelming and a lot of work. And a lot of people ask me, what's the most difficult thing with a layout this size? And it's the maintenance of it, is just trying to keep it clean and keep things running. And sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't work. So so that's my answer. Thank you so much, Lost in Altoona, for your email. I greatly appreciate that. And if you have an email or a question or a video you want to share of your layout, you can email it to CTATViewerMail@gmail.com. Thanks for watching this one, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.